in front of you, and
Let's see.
You guys have never had a hemorrhoid, huh?
no.
Oh, lucky you.
You've had a hemorrhoid?
Hell yeah, but I have irritable bowel syndrome, so
Wait a minute. So that's what we were just saying. A hemorrhoid is what, Antonio?
Hemorrhoid is swollen veins in the lower rectum.
yep.
And you had exactly that?
Yep. From taking like 8 or 9 shits a day
What?
and sitting on the pot, the pressure on your fucking asshole.
Oh.
Are we filming right now?
Yeah, we're filming.
This is prime quality shit.
It's great. No, and that's why. What? My first question, if you don't mind stopping, is what brought on all that shitting? Was it the hemorrhoid, or was it something that you ate that like got you on
syndrome?
It's the irritable, like a chronic.
There are multiple ways in which irritable bowel syndrome, is derivative from. For me personally, it's a lot of my stress and anxiety, because I've gotten checked by multiple doctors who have said, there's nothing wrong with you physically whatsoever. It's all just got to be mental. So
You're forcing shit out, literally.
well, basically, it's just I think it all probably starts at an early age. You for some reason you get this feeling that you need to get it out fast, or else you're gonna have it the whole day. Just shit's gonna sit inside of you.
That or the reverse of that, like either like somebody holding it in because like, dude, you can't go to the bathroom. Like,
Yeah,
I've heard people have stories of like, I don't know of the people that produce Tom Segura's podcast, any dude. He literally, he had a like totally opposite story where like his mom like scared him into like, hey, like we got to go right now, like hold it in. So he literally can go almost a month without shitting. And same thing where it was brought on upon like, and they had Dr. Drew on his podcast saying how it's okay. Like obviously like it might not be the most ideal thing for a human body, but the fact that your body is adapted to it and has been able to survive. And
true. It's for the most part, it's not gonna kill you. Except I think eventually it probably will. After a lot of months of build up, I would think that. Hello.
Just the hair closer. You want to put that?
Yeah, that's great.
Fist away from your mouth.
Yeah. No, I would imagine that eventually, from build up, you would, it would become toxic and you would die.
Having like sewage in you, dude. I mean, literally, it's like you're having, just crap inside of your body that your body's still absorbing.
Chemicals, bad bacteria. Eventually, your gut can't fight it off anymore because your gut produces good bacteria too. Shit, just a lot of shit.
Literally a lot of shit. I mean, and so when the hernia happened, how long ago was this?
So, not a hernia, it's a hemorrhoid.
Hemorrhoid, excuse me, sorry. I'm stuck on the hernia. But we'll get to a hernia later. So your hemorrhoid.
Right.
Well, when was this?
This was probably 2016.
So 4 years ago. Almost about 5 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah, something like that, yeah.
And like you said, I mean, what exactly, like, I don't know, did you go to the doctors immediately? Were you like at home for like a full day, or like?
No, to be honest, I didn't even go to the doctor. Well, I was in the Navy, so I didn't want to. For some reason, I didn't want to go to medical whatsoever.
Really?
So, but I just ended up getting like preparation H or something like that, and you literally apply that to your asshole like once or twice a day.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, you got to do it.
But what was the fear though of going to the Navy doctor? Was it just the fact of like being kicked out of the Navy, or was it like, how would that affect, say, being in the Navy?
Honestly, I don't know. It was I had a lot of depression and anxiety at the time, so I wasn't quite seeing things quite straight.
Yeah.
So,
no, and that's where, I mean, I feel I'm the same way. Like the first few years after when my dad passed, it was like, I mean, obviously I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but next thing you know, you're like, oh shit, like, I mean, in your case, literal shit, like,
yeah,
to where it compiled up. And then, I mean, are you still like dealing with shit I mean, dealing with the ramifications of it. I'm not making a joke. I'm really not making a joke out of it.
If you are,
I'm cussing. I just cuss like a sailor.
Fuck yeah, I'm dealing with the ramifications of it. No, I mean, I still have irritable bowel syndrome. I still,
I hate to get so personal. I mean,
no, dude.
Literally, it was so hot into the podcast.
Honestly, I don't give a fuck. As human beings, I think we should explore what we go through, I guess. Just bring it to the surface, just so that other people, not even to like freak anybody out or even to make things personal whatsoever, just for simple observation or analysis. Even if you told me something weird as fuck, I would be like, okay, well, Max is a human being, and obviously this happened in real life, which means this can happen. Other people are probably doing the same thing. It's an observation.
Yeah, and I mean, even just like to my eating habits, like obviously, like I've noticed that I've been becoming a little bit like lactose intolerant, or not. I haven't been able to handle milk well, and I don't know if that's me not drinking it as much. And then when I rarely do, it affects my body. But just as far as like fast foods too, like I mean, you see the effects that it has on people just literally getting fucking 500 pounds. But then on top of that, all the other health negatives that it brings to your life that, again, in the end of the run, I would, if I can benefit my life to be able to hinder that from happening sooner or even at all. And I mean, if I don't keep eating fast food, or at least keep it in moderation, then it's at least diminishing it, at least suppressing it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I don't know. It's in this day and age, I think it's a lot of it is hereditary. I mean, you'll see people who are smoking, drinking up until they're 104.
Yeah, adding so much to their body that could potentially mess things up, but in reality, like they're, like you said, they're living to ages that are well past the fucking average age of life expectancy. I feel like there was a lady that like drank a beer a day or something like that, or she said that
she smoked a cigarette a day or something like that.
And she was like 100 something.
Everybody's heard a similar story like that, right?
Yeah, something along the lines of like, I don't know, where one thing that people perceive as bad isn't so bad.
True, but for the most part, then you look at statistics. Just because there's that one lucky chance of someone surviving doesn't mean, statistics say that 70% of people are dying from lung cancer who smoke. I don't even know if that's a true statistic, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there.
And that's where nothing we say, I mean, we're not fucking, and I said this last time, I mean, I don't need to fucking like fact check us at all. And that's where, I mean, obviously you don't need to be looking up everything. Come on, no, stop. I'm just saying, like, literally, like, I mean, people, if at all, I think I had like 50 people view this at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, in total, I had it on one account and then a different account, and then I have no idea how to look at, I don't even really care. Because literally, I mean, I listened to it the other day, and I can't even get through it probably more than like 15 minutes or something like that. I think I had it playing like in the background, but it was cringy. But what were we just talking about? I just got on a little tangent.
Well, we've kind of been on like an incoherent ramble.
We were, and especially for how hot we started. I feel.
Oh no, dude, this has all been great.
Yeah, and that's where, I mean, I'm not saying that we should cut any of it out, but if anything, it'd be a good point to pivot on the fact that we, I don't know, lost that topic because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because just the different people that I'm going to have on the podcast, I want to be able to at least talk about different things. Obviously, we could talk about the day-to-day life that's going on, but shit right now is all pretty similar as far as the whole lockdown.
Yeah, basically.
So, I mean, as far as I had Brett on the first episode. You know Brett Goodrich, right?
Who? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I know Brett.
Big time star. He's Insta famous. No, but yeah, he will be one day. You never know.
I'm just kidding. No,
but because he performs obviously music and had done some open mics and whatnot. And you have, I mean, my entire life that I've known you have seemed to have some sort of instrument or been in a band or let alone performing. Because I've seen you in person. I mean, whether it be house parties, live shows at venues. I mean, different scales. You know, it's been crazy. So I mean,
well, yeah, and I appreciate that, man. It's always awesome when you come out.
And I mean, dude, it's crazy to be a part of the whole journey. To see, like I said, from just being your next door neighbor, hearing it literally from house to house, and then seeing like a live performance on a high quality, like, I mean, with big sound systems and everything, with full crowds, and I mean, having to pay for tickets. You know, it's a totally crazy thing to be part of I mean, obviously I'm not part of your whole procedure and your whole journey, but to see, a lot of it progress.
I understand what you're saying. That's really cool, man.
So, I mean, in experiencing it firsthand, I mean, how have you felt and dealt with those, like, say, big time shows that you've done? I mean, I feel the biggest ones that I've seen were like at the Vault, maybe, or even there was a show. Was it like in Riverside, or even I feel like it was farther. It's like an hour or something drive.
I think the biggest venue I played at, I think Whiskey A Go Go is a little more renowned than House of Blues.
Mm-hmm. House of Blues in San Diego, or
House of Blues San Diego. I played there twice, but Whiskey A Go Go, Led Zeppelin played there. I think I'm not entirely sure about the history, but I mean,
I don't even know the history because I've heard Whiskey A Go Go, but where is Whiskey A Go Go? Do you know? I mean, obviously you played there, but
yeah, it's in Hollywood. It's on Sunset Boulevard.
And how big? I mean, was it like a full crowd? Was it? I mean, as far as the size of a venue?
No, it probably was about 50 people, which, I mean, that's a pretty big crowd for being a local band, really.
Because did you have to sell tickets for it? Was it just like an open, or like how was the
pre-sale tickets? I think it's 40 tickets, which is pretty standard for most venues. Yeah, that's it.
And what time was the show? Was it like later at night? I mean, obviously, I feel like it would be later in the day at least.
Yeah, typically those kind of shows will start like earliest at maybe 5:36, and then they'll go on till about 9 or I think 10 at the latest. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just so much fun playing. I think that one of the videos.
Is it online? Like, is it on YouTube or something? Or when you guys performed there? Or?
Yeah, but I'm just recalling. I think I played there twice with two different bands. One as the vocalist, which was that Brutal Seahorse band that I was in.
Brutal Seahorse.
Yeah, the death metal band or deathcore band, where I was doing the vocals, the screaming, and everything. And then also, I think I played there with the band that I was in with. I don't know if you remember Nick Olivas. He was the guitarist.
I remember Nick because he was in a few different bands. Or I remember either just hanging out with him. I know Nick.
Gotcha.
It's been a long. I mean, obviously since however long you guys were in that band, or I think at your old place. I remember when you guys first moved in there, you had that whole studio room.
Yeah.
And I remember going there, I feel like once or twice, and he was there, and then going to shows. But what was that other band? Do you remember? Do you recall?
It was the Siberian.
The Siberian?
Yeah, that's what we were called. And that was like a metalcore band. Kind of August Burns Red mixed with Periphery, the Contortionist, like all that genre.
Which of the two bands would you say harder? Because I know, I mean, you played some pretty fucking...
Brutal Seahorse was harder only because the tuning was lower. Mm-hmm. The Siberian was in drop C. I don't know if you're familiar with guitar tuning.
Not at all. And that's where if Brett was here, he'd be like, he'd know it instantly.
Gotcha.
Fuck, dude.
Well, for musicians like Brett, the Siberian was in drop C tuning and brutal Seahorse, we did things in drop A or drop G, and that was a fun time.
It's gonna be a good time when you drop A.
It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, a good time.
Drop A is always a good time. It's just that that evil sounding note.
Like a little deeper, or
yeah,
I'd love to have. I have a guitar here. I think Brett took all his cables back. God damn! If you had a cable would it be able to plug into here and listen to it?
Well, it probably wouldn't sound very good because coming from a 6-string drop A, you should have heavier gauges on your guitar, and I'm sure your guitar is more standard and probably
if that made with paper mache.
Yeah, definitely. And then of course we don't have any kind of distortion setting, so it might not sound as cool as we want it to.
Yeah,
but
and then would you be able to even get it to that drop A, or I mean, is that just in the tuning of the actual strings?
Oh yeah, no, you can get it as long as it's not a. I'm not a guitar player. I'm a composer, but what the hell are the guitars called that have the features where the strings are always tuned? I know it's something so simple.
Like a capo, where they put it on the.
Not a capo. It's a feature that's I'm sure.
For those of you out there listening or watching, comment or
if you've
email
made it
into
this
us.
Far.
If you've made it this far without bailing out, thank you, Antonio. Sorry, I would have gotten this myself, but I would have totally blocked out the camera. Which, if anybody's even watching, fucking let alone listening, and just heard that whole crack.
Either way, I just can't even think. It's literally it stays in tune, but you can only keep it in standard tuning unless I think you have to do something really technical or whatnot guitar wise. But it stays in standard tuning, and the pitches won't bend at all, so they'll never become flat or sharp.
And it's that entire way through, say, majority of the songs that you guys would be playing, or.
Oh yeah, no, all the songs were in drop A or lower, drop G. I think we even have one song in like drop E, which not standard E, but the drop an octave lower than standard E. So
is that like in Elf when he's like you bring us down a whole octave in a good way? And is it because has a deeper voice, or
he's probably talking about the voice in that situation. Yeah,
because definitely. He's not an elf. I mean, the elves will probably talk like this. It's Will Ferrell. I mean, even when he was talking as Buddy the Elf, was, I don't know, probably higher than all those.
Yeah, guys. I haven't seen that movie in forever, and I know there's like a huge fan base.
Oh, okay, Antonio. If anybody's wondering why Antonio is out of the shot, that's watching, he's eating a food right now. So
he's eating a sandwich.
Eating a little Sammy right now. So
little Sammy.
And that's your dog's name, not to get off track.
Yeah.
Sammy. Shout out to Sammy. Love Sammy. I see your mom and dad, your pops, walking her around the block.
Yeah.
Do you guys leave her outside, or does she?
No, she's an inside puppy.
You guys have always had small, like, inside dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I talked to your mom the other day, and she was saying how she does yoga and everything, and I don't know. I just feel like I always hear her outside.
Yeah.
So I don't know. She gets her out time. So.
She's pretty loud, but I mean we're probably the loudest family in the neighborhood, to be honest with you.
Well, we entice our dog though to bark. That's the thing. Like I don't.
Yeah,
like,
we entice Sammy to bark too because she's a dog and that's what dogs do.
And it's fun, dude. And if anybody were to really like. And don't take anything of what I just said of Sammy barking as like a negative.
How dare you?
Because it is, dude. I mean, fuck her.
She's a stupid bitch.
She's a saint. How dare you?
She's a literal bitch.
At least she doesn't roam the neighborhood like my dog, dude. Literally, Ginger will.
That's so funny though. I always see Ginger walking around and I get a kick out of it. Dude.
She could go for full lap around the block if she wanted to, but. Yeah. She will go down all the way to like the mailbox, which is like 4 or 5 houses down. Yeah. And then just last week, she went all the way down the first park down here, which is all the way down the block.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, and it's only at our fault of my own leaving the gate open, but we trust that she's at least going to come back.
Yeah, dude, Ginger's a good dog.
I mean, you never know though on
It's
like
true.
other dogs that are walking around the neighborhood, and obviously
or cars.
cars too. I mean, I always say that because one time I have seen her down literally almost to Palomar.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was literally past that park, like on that home stretch right there. So, and I was running around without a leash just trying to find her, and I found her down there. I'm like, shit, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy that you went this far down there.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
And
Be more careful.
fuck, I know. I mean, it saves us from having to walk her ourselves. She just goes and does it herself. I mean,
True. I mean, I love walking Sammy though. It's fun.
and I've found I do definitely enjoy taking Ginger on hikes, being that she's a bigger dog. She can go on that. You can't really take Sammy out like on trails or anything.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, I just saw fucking rattlesnake at work just literally today, but a rattlesnake at on one of my trails back here behind our house.
Damn, dude.
Dude, literally, I don't know if it was a rattlesnake. It was a snake.
Yeah.
And I stepped literally near the bush and had something move. Thought it would have been a snake if it made a noise or rattle or something, but jumped away just like, oh, whoa, whatever, and then looked at it, saw it was a snake. I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out, dude, and literally sprinted home. And like I was about from halfway from the water tower.
Wow.
So I was a good little bit out. So I was like, all right, I'm picking this up from now on.
That's crazy, man. I think it was back in March. It was February or March. It was right before COVID happened. My friend and I were down. I was down in San Diego. He's stationed down there, but we were on a hike. Fuck, I forgot which trail, dude. I get stoned all the time. I can't fucking remember. But
that's so great though to go on a trail, on a hike, and then go.
Oh yeah, but I mean, no matter what, when you're going uphill, it's still gonna suck, even if you're high.
Yeah, especially. I mean, it feels, if anything, it's hard to get the air in. But
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways, you were with your buddy.
We were almost down to the street to get back into our car. Right down at the fucking end of the trail. And from probably where I am to the sandwich right there.
About like 5 feet.
Yeah, about 5 feet.
Social distancing in distance.
I'm talking to my friend, and then I just see in the corner of my eye something that resembles something,
There's something there.
Animal instinct kicks in and says...
Primal instinct.
Yeah, primal instinct kicks in and says, hey, fucker, something's going down. So I stop and I immediately back up and I look, and as soon as everything is clear, I realize it's a big old fucking rattlesnake, probably about, I don't know, 4 to 6 feet long.
46 feet?
4 to 6 feet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That scared the shit out of me, dude. I was like, is this an anaconda?
No. So my friend and I, we just kind of back up.
You like that dad joke, Antonio? I say that way too much. And
what is it?
That when somebody says it's 6 to 7 weeks or 6 to 7 feet, 67 feet.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, I actually wondered if you like bullshitted that or
I'm a good actor, huh?
Pretty good.
Pretty fucking bad. Anyways, we were you snake 6 to 7 feet.
Yeah, 67 feet, and so yeah, I just backed up and we just fucking let it go into the bushes and
don't want to fuck
and we left and yeah, that's the end of the story.
That's about it.
Thank you.
And with that, no, just kidding. No.
So watch out, cause rattlesnakes are out and they're coming for you.
Coming for you, brother. No, it's I think it's like 72 is snake weather. That's what I've gauged over the years. Like when it's over 72, it's warm enough for snakes to be coming out. Especially if it's 72 for multiple days in a row, it's gonna definitely. I don't know. Snakes are gonna be out, whether they're out just outside of their hole or just.
You said that's empirical, or you've gauged that?
I've gauged that myself. I don't know. Personally, I've on just over the hikes over there. Me and my aunt, she that's where we came up with that, because every time we would be on a hike and it was cooler than 72 degrees, we noticed we never heard any snakes like rattling in the distance, or we never really were too cautious.
Nice.
Thank you. We were never too cautious about snakes if it was ever that cold. But once it got to that 72 degrees, we noticed that, all right, well, there's some snakes out here, or like it was just reoccurring. 72 degrees or anything above 72 is snake weather.
Interesting.
And we've had snakes on the golf course literally every day, whether they're the same snakes or, I mean, we just have so much like vegetation and like creeks and mountainside that the snakes and wildlife between coyotes and freaking, I haven't seen a bobcat in a long time out there, but I saw a peacock out there like 2 weeks ago. First thing in the morning at 5 o'clock. I was just driving down and like I just see this fucking like big ass, like it wasn't fanned out. It was just a long black silhouette. Like in the morning, couldn't see anything.
I haven't seen one of those.
What the fuck?
In a while.
A peacock? I mean, let alone like walking out in the wild. Yeah. I mean, I've always seen him either like at a zoo or like it's like a Playboy thing. Like he had him at the Playboy Mansion. I mean, when was the last time you were at the Playboy Mansion?
Yesterday. Actually.
Yesterday. See, and that's where they have peacocks there. And I stopped my car and like flipped my lights on because I usually don't drive my lights on. And sure as shit, it was this blue and fucking green peacock was just walking through the golf course. I'm like, what the hell? I couldn't even get my phone out fast enough because it was already walking like through into a bush or something and gone out of sight. And it's luckily one of my other coworkers saw it to attest that I'm not fucking, I wasn't that high. But yeah, no, it was crazy to see a fucking peacock at work, let alone now we're seeing all these fucking snakes. I'd rather see more peacocks than fucking snakes.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, snakes, some of them are venomous, and some of them can kill you.
Are peacocks venomous, Antonio? Do you know that? No, he's saying no. But are you a peacock specialist? Do you mind looking that one up for me?
I don't need Google for that.
Oh,
I know that's a general, like everyone knows that.
But can peacocks fly? That's in the other guys. They know. I know that's true. No. I don't think they can.
You know what? I'm just remembering a story when my uncle was bit by the
Bit by a peacock or an ostrich?
He died by the venom. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, wait,
what? I was about to say, I messed up on that one. My bad.
I was say, you should have looked it up. Oh my god. His damn uncle died.
Anyways, I know that I'm totally digressing here. But what do you think about marijuana use at the workplace?
At the workplace.
Is it...
Max knows a lot about that.
And it's not good at all.
Is it contradictory to emotional intelligence?
Well, I think the use of it, say at the workplace.
Yes.
Like whether it be, say, the smoking or ingesting or whatever the case, on premises or I don't know, like say on the premises would be crossing a boundary, but being the fact that it's already crossing different boundaries as far as like having medical benefits and properties to it, to where definitely if it were to, and I personally feel that it benefits me in a social and at least anxiety and depression wise, to where it helps me kind of deal with say every day-to-day life, to where it's like you said, in a work situation, let alone even in a sporting situation, it can say better like be a performance enhancer, to where if it is a performance enhancer, why would like obviously sports, you wouldn't want a performance enhancer because you want everybody on the somewhat even playing field. Why is that, say, held back in the workplace? That's almost, say, holding back from, obviously if you have a labor intensive job, you're not going to be having disabled people working the job or somebody that physically can't do the job. But if it's something that is, say, a like software or something that like doesn't need anything more than the movement of a computer, keyboard and mouse that can be done
like simple cerebral function.
Yeah, you are a veteran. Thank you for your service, Matt.
Thank you.
I could only imagine, say, for people that are, say, wounded veterans that are trying to find, that aren't still being helped out by the government programs. I don't know exactly how like Wounded Warrior and all of those different programs all work. I've done some charity work for Folds of Honor to help out with families that aren't being benefited from the say Wounded Warriors or any other government aided foundations. And I don't want to talk for them or say anything because I don't know really everything and
I don't want to talk for them either.
No, exactly.
Those guys.
But my whole point on that is like for people that
all the
are
respect
like
in the world for those guys.
like who's the Lieutenant Dan? If Lieutenant Dan wants to work at an ice cream shop, and if they don't hire him because he doesn't have legs, but he can sit behind the register and literally work say at a cash register at a grocery store or something like that doesn't necessarily need you to, but can, I don't know, if he was able to do something that could get his legs back, whether it was artificial or
prosthetic legs.
That's the word. Prosthetic legs.
Artificial's accurate too.
Same thing. But if they said, oh, well, you can work for us, but you're not allowed to use your prosthetic limbs. Mm-hmm. I feel that's almost somewhat of on the same spectrum. Obviously, it's physically not having a hand or a leg or something, not at your own choice. But at the same time, a lot of problems that we go through personally, whether it be depression, anxiety, a lot of that isn't brought on by our own choice. Let alone people that go through traumatic experiences in their life, whether it be like somebody getting raped as a kid or something, or whatever the case may be, it could always, I'm sorry I'm getting so fucking deep or dark right now, but
no, dude, you're good.
It's like, just kind of round up on that point, if something were to benefit an employee in a way that it would at least say bring them to that even playing field, not that there even needs to be there definitely isn't a level playing field in employment, because some people are smarter than other people. Some people get jobs based on just on appearance, and let alone what their physical capabilities are or mental capabilities are with or without marijuana. Because obviously me and you are both users, to where I don't see a negative effect to where it's on the same field as alcohol, to where if one hit of a marijuana cigarette is the same as one shot of a hard alcohol, or say one full beer, then I don't think, say, I would have anywhere near the same effects from one, or say 3 hits of marijuana cigarette and 3 beers. I feel like the 3 beers is definitely a lot more, let alone hindering me physically and mentally.
I think that depends on tolerance, because I remember when I got out of the military and I started smoking immediately, mm-hmm. the first hit that I had, just one hit, I was fucking gone. I remember I would just take one hit. I remember when you and I were hanging out all the time at the members' houses and stuff. Mm-hmm. I would take 5 hits, and I would be like, 5 hits?
Are you kidding me?
I am so high right now.
Yeah, you were gone after 2. You didn't even need the other 3.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Let alone the 5.
Now, smoking all the time, it's like nothing.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, obviously, in a way, as much as we are stoners, it's almost in the same token as being an alcoholic, to where you're a functioning alcoholic or a functioning stoner. But I feel like there isn't really a point of...
There's a difference in substance, I guess, the detrimental outcome. Mm-hmm. But do we really know that, though? Do we know the long-term effects of marijuana on the human brain? Because studies obviously indicate that users at younger ages, when the brain is still developing, let's say before the age of 25 or 26 or 30, typically people who smoke in high school,
just a little bit away. It's
okay.
I was gonna say just a little. Not that I can hear just a little bit heavy in my microphone.
Gotcha.
Or my headphones.
Gotcha. Okay.
Still working out the kinks,
Yeah. Are there studies? I mean, personally, I haven't necessarily looked into it myself, but what are the long-term damages on the lungs, on the brain?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to keep using THC and CBD, do you switch back and forth?
Between the physical smoke,
edibles,
yeah, that's something too that I have gone back and forth with. Between obviously right now with this whole COVID,
right,
wanting to cut out whatever kind of damaging effects, say it might do on my lungs,
because anything on your lungs is going to damage it, no matter how trivial.
Mm-hmm. Whether it be THC, nicotine, tobacco, anything. And we're not saying any of those are better or worse than, because I mean, again, we're not fucking scientists or doctors. We're just fucking.
Well, actually, I think marijuana does, when it is lit with flame, it does produce less amount of toxics compared to like a cigarette or.
Oh, yeah. Well, for sure. And that's where a lot of times, I mean, and as far as now that I'm working, say, on the golf course and dealing with the actual growth of the grass and everything and seeing what goes into it, I mean, it's crazy to see chemically wise and for fertilizers and literally the raw compounds that we're putting in there to make fertilizers, to be able to or just the blends of fertilizer. We're not making our own fertilizer. We're like the different like blends of like whether it be pesticides or whatnot. I don't know. Again, I'm not a superintendent to fucking know exactly. I mean, we just like when we're fertilizing and everything. If that was what I was be eating my salad out of, that would be a lot of stuff that's going into it. To where whether there's studies or not on what the effects are on all that, it's something that the fact that the results aren't out, it's something that I'm willing to not take that gamble on. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to like smoking, I've cut out and I will take a hit from say a vape, but the stizzies or whatever, when it's like a third party cartridge or something, you never know what is exactly inside the vial, I mean, whether they're putting in different oils and
that's why I purchase from legitimate dispensaries
and trusted
or deliveries.
Sources. Yeah, exactly, and that's where
verified with cannabis licenses.
You gotta trust your drug dealer, dude.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, even if there's tax, even if you're paying tax, it's still worth it because
and that's where
you could be buying fucking Roves, for instance. I mean, typically it's like $60 for a gram.
Rove. They're actually a sponsor of the podcast.
No, right on.
They're not, but if they are, if anybody, Rove, is it? ROVE.
Rove, ROVE. Yeah,
Rove.
it's a vape or cartridges. I'm sure they do marijuana or flower as well.
Some other
dabs, some other
THC product.
But they, I've noticed some of the deliveries that I would order from, they would sell the grams for $40, and I was like, this isn't right, because everyone is saying. I did my research. Everyone is saying that there's no way that you can get Roves for $40 and have them not be fake. But then some people say, even the fake ones, I'm still getting high.
You're still getting some sort of an effect from it. So it's like, do you trust it? Do you not? And
yeah,
that's where
I'd rather not take my chances.
Exactly, and that's where obviously there are studies that going back to the fast food thing. It's like there are studies of all the damaging effects that it does on your body, but I'm still at 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm drunk. It's probably still going to be one of my first options and probably do end up picking.
Yeah. Plus, never forget the argument that a crappy meal, like a meal with a horribly nutrient-filled meal of just fake artificial garbage, is still better than no meal at all.
That is true. Yeah.
Oh no. I mean, you're still getting nutrients, whether they're fake or not, and you're still getting fuel because the body needs fuel.
Mm-hmm. You're still putting in, and that's where obviously if you were to cut that off, I mean, you fucking run out of fuel and resources. You got to put gas in the tank.
Exactly.
Run out of fuel.
I mean, you're gonna die if you don't eat. But you're still going to run if you're putting in crappy fuel, even whether it's 40 years or not.
I mean, just looking at an engine, I mean, you see the effects that it has, say, on an engine with the corrosion and everything, with like whether you, oh my goodness, wow. How
Nice.
did you fucking, shout out to Antonio, get me a tequila. Is this tequila and Coke? Are you, I mean, we only have tequila and Diet Coke, so that's kind of my thing.
Is that for me, bro? Thank you very much.
I got some waters. That
Appreciate
fridge, it was pretty loud. We didn't catch any on the audio.
Yeah.
And I keep talking about the room. We'll give a little tour here one day for
Hell
the
yeah.
people that are listening.
Definitely.
Or, excuse me, watching.
This was always my favorite room in your house.
The animal room. And that's why we're calling it the animal room, dude. It's such a chill place to, like, I mean, growing up, I mean, like you said, we would always either hang out in here. We would, like...
It's hide and go seek in the dark. And
dude, having this, my house is fucking like the perfect house for hide and seek. Whether it's inside, outside, both. It's fucking like the carpet alone is scary. It looks like you're in the Shining hallway, dude. When you're looking down the hallway with the red carpet and like there's like a scary doll at the end. There literally
this
is.
place was pretty wild when we did shrooms.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That is a whole other podcast.
But yeah, no, and that's why it's definitely like, I mean, it's obviously the name of the podcast, but it's definitely always been part of obviously my life of living here.
Yeah.
But I feel whether that's like kind of the sentiment of, say, the podcast or even like my comedy career, like I've always kind of liked to, I mean, I've always loved like nature and wildlife and animals in general, but wildlife in particular, to where, I mean, it's as unfortunate as it is that all these heads, I mean, all taxidermy and were killed, whether legally, illegally. My dad had purchased these all legally through, say, auctions over the years. He was a collector, and just a lot of times I always look just at them more on like a spiritual level, to where it's almost kind of like when like the Native Americans, like, and I don't know shit jack much if anything at all to be talking about Native Americans, but like just like their spiritual connection like with the animal, to where like when they would, say, hunt the buffalo, which we do have a buffalo hanging in here, like they would like use every part of it, you know, whether they use like the bone, the marrow, they use like they won't let anything go to waste. And like
I'm sure there was some sort of sacred connection between the animals that they hunted,
and all forms of life, really. And that's where like, I mean, having just a connection to communicate via like between humans is like not that it's a luxury, but for animals to be able to, in the wild, yes, they go out and eat each other, but for them to be able to live cohesively in the entire world, let alone with humans fucking with their environments and whatnot, it's crazy that there's still that connection, to where if you go out on a hike and, like you said, there's the snake you guys saw, like obviously like he's probably like, if anything, he was going to attack you just in defense, but
only in defense. Yeah.
And that's, say, his form of communication, to where obviously you know that, like you said, you know that he's doing it out of defense. And if you were specifically going out of your way to, say, hurt the snake, then he would. So
if I was a moron,
you're a moron. You'd be in every right to be say attacked or
and bit.
be communicated in that way. So it's just there's that animals in all forms of life, I feel,
absolutely
have that say connection and in communication.
We're on the top of the food chain, at least on land, as far as we know. In sea, dude, we don't know those depths. We haven't discovered them, but it's amazing when we can coalesce with animals, with all sentient life forms that surround us, and when we can help them blemish or flourish, I should say.
And that's where, I mean, obviously I've heard and seen a little bit firsthand on the golf course with wildlife emerging now, with people being a little bit more indoors and not being a bigger part of the whole ecosystem, you know, whether it's driving cars or you're just being out and about in the environment, to where it's at least brought the wildlife a little bit more prevalent into our lives, to where we're not living out in nature or seeing it in our everyday to day life, to where somebody in Montana that has a grizzly bear coming in and out of their backyard literally every day, and fucking see deer and moose getting hit on the highway every day as well. So it's crazy that, I mean, we're experiencing it even just on a smaller scale, to where that's kind of with the whole animals and animal room. That's my at least interpretation.
Yeah, you know, this honestly, hunting and taxidermy is going to happen, no matter what. Good luck stopping it, because you're gonna need to go through the government and a lot of legality.
And a lot of it actually is beneficial towards the animal life, because when it's done, say in an overpopulated animal life, say like when you have like wolves. I mean, there's not really like an open season for wolves, but in areas, I mean, California doesn't have a big population of moose, if really at all, really.
Yeah.
But say somewhere in Montana, like I was saying, there probably is an abundance of moose, or even let alone Canada or Alaska, you know, where Alaska probably has a shitload of moose, to where they're like, we have a moose problem, guys. Like, we got to get rid of these fucking these meese.
It's kind of interesting, though, that we as humans get to decide that, you know?
And that's where it's almost, as humans, we need to have that form of communication with the animal, whether it's
stop reproducing.
Yeah, let's give these animals birth control. I heard that was a thing. Rogan was talking about it, and I keep bringing up other people's podcasts about them giving the deer birth control.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because they were having a problem with like overpopulation with deer somewhere, and that's where, when there's the lack of human interaction, obviously the wildlife's going to flourish, and which is great and all, but that could be obviously to a detriment when you have, say, predators that are flourishing, and then next thing you know, they run out of a food source, or they become a problem to other species outside of their normal.
Definitely. And we're not there or no human presence is there to stop animals from going into specific territories where they're not likely to survive.
Yeah.
That's definitely inevitable as well, I would say.
Well, and that's why it's good to see that it's at least somewhat reemerging right now, obviously.
Yeah, no,
this is somewhat of a step in the right direction with this whole COVID shit. But again, this taxidermy isn't in a trophy-ish way. If anything, my dad had purchased them
to respect
it, and that money, if anything, down the ladder goes all towards, whether it's the first person that purchased them, the second person that purchased them. That money that is exchanging hands in at least a beneficial way in the get-go, you know, whether somebody's making a profit of it in a negative way, it's at least being...
I'm sure the lower half went to To a good source.
It did, yeah. And we actually have the backstory for all these animals on file. We will.
You
do
can
an
find
episode.
them all on tromboner.com.
Yes, they have profiles, dating links as well to when they were killed and
Holy
and
crap!
eaten.
Who got me more wine?
That's where, dude. This was
Dude,
Antonio set this all up, dude. He got me.
Thanks,
he got us
man.
drinks again. I was just double checking on the time of recording because I think, like I said,
I know I gotta go pee pee.
Well, you got to go to the bathroom. As far as this recording, I think we are about to.
About 50 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, I have 50 minutes on here, so we're about to like wrap up as far as storage left on the video side. We'll have like 10 more minutes on video.
Cool.
But it's just as far as
we'll talk about the real shit
the real
when
shit.
I get back.
Well, if anything, I was just kind of not to wrap it up, and I mean, I'm not kicking you out because we can keep on talking. I just would like to save this before this like stops and it ends mid conversation, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, and if anything, you'd probably keep us to a good time frame because the first podcast 35 minutes.
35.
If anything, I'd like to keep expanding from there. I don't want to go from 35 to 3 hours, you know? So
when we get back, or when I get back from PP, we're gonna discuss the real shit.
He vetoed it.
Where did we come from? Where did life come from?
well, if
Go, let him go pee.
Let him go pee. Thank you, Matt, for coming on this episode. If anything, we'll come back to a recording and it will be just another episode of the podcast. Whether it's sequential, it's a different episode.
You guys should just keep going after that.
We will, and it'll be like
records-
part 2. So, but yeah, I just want to wrap this up.
You're gonna
Thank
end the
you.
video?
Yeah, I'm going to fucking end it. Dude.
All right, end
That's
it.
how we end it. I don't give
End
a
it.
fuck. Oh, hell.